We're down to the second to last module, and it's time to talk about your results. Your application narrative should be close to finished now, and you've talked a lot in that narrative about the hows and whys of your research. You've included sentences that lead the reader from the opportunity goals through your project and to the impacts on the field and society that you hope for. We're going to use that to build a way that you can measure and prove out what your results are. That measuring way will go into your proposal, and then in your post-award reporting, you'll use it to track and show the effect of your project. Now, keep in mind that assessment and evaluation is its own field of study, several fields of study actually, so I can only give you an overview of it here. I'm going to walk you through an approach that should work well with research and grants, but you can look for more information to plan what suits you best. Plenty of great websites out there provide practical strategies for evaluation and assessment to build your assessment plan. Well, what we'll do is build a light version of a logic model. And that's a technical term, so you can Google it to learn more. A logic model of your research and its anticipated effects. That's going to show how the costs you charge to the grant tie to your activities, then how that ties to your findings, and how those findings lead to bigger effects on the world. Sound familiar? It should. You've already worked out that logic in your writing process. What we'll do is extract the key bits from that and list them in summary form. Use a table or boxes, or you can use a diagram. That's what a lot of people do because visuals can be very helpful, but we'll do it as a set of basic boxes or a table to make it science-friendly and easy to follow. So, start with your costs, the inputs being put into your project from the grant. And that should be things like equipment, personnel time, supplies, and so on. List them so you're repeating what's in the sentences and then putting it in that box or table. Now, in another box, put the broadest summaries of your activities in your plan. You have a detailed plan already, so don't repeat all of that, but summarize like test for growth media or build prototypes, or whatever the broadest explanations of what you're doing is. Those are your activities. Put them in a way that you would just quickly summarize them to someone if you were explaining your stages briefly. In the next box, add the directly measurable results you expect to get. Again, this should be broad, a list of what you'll be getting without the conclusions. So it could be test usability and uptake of devices, or maybe survey users for their reactions. Something that reflects how you're gathering data for your results. This should be the most direct numbers you already expect to collect. And then in the last box, or column if you're using a table, put your why factor words of big picture effects you hope for your research to have. It's research, so of course we don't know the results yet, but you've thought about what you might benefit, what it might impact, so put those big pictures in. Now, draw arrows like I have between the boxes, or a big arrow across the table, and bam! You have a flow of how the costs lead through the activities to results and then effects, or outcomes. So now you would add measurements. The first thing to remember is that this flow across your arrows gives you a great way that automatically shows your progress during progress reports. You can say so much percentage of each cost is expended, or so much percentage of the activities has been completed. So what your preliminary data is, what your progress through each stage is, will go in each annual progress report and will reflect how far along you are and how each year relates to the bigger picture. Then in your final report, you can record the findings of the measures and results you are driving for in your project. Summarize all those findings and make sure they're connected to that stage in the model you've built. The awkward part is reporting out on the longer-term effects. It's easy to say how far you are on your inputs, your expenditures, how far your activities have progressed, and what your preliminary and then final data is. The diagramming will help show what you think is going to happen. But since it's future effects, you can't always prove it. But there are things you can put into this effects and outcomes box to show preliminary effects. Go back to your citations about why it would be impactful on the field and the world, and repeat some of those ideas with statements like, "This has helped to fill the knowledge gap that was pointed out by the XYZ report." Also, see if there have been updates on those articles and reports and needs that you can add to show how progress has happened. Then finally, look at your dissemination and publications. Report about how those publications have made your findings accessible on the world stage. If you've spoken, talk about who attended your speech and what their reactions were from the professional field. There's a lot you can say about the reaction in your field once you've done your dissemination of findings, and that can be used to describe progress towards those long-term effects and outcomes that the grant was aiming for. If you need help, especially with measuring public and social effects, consider bringing in some experts. That could be consultants from professional evaluators. Or you could talk to faculty on campus that measure impacts, like public health faculty or information use, or business or sociology professors. Always make sure to partner with colleagues as a way to build your network and build your grantsmanship. All right, thanks for listening. There's a worksheet in the module for you to organize those boxes with, and then you can condense the essentials to add to your application and save for your reports after you get your funding. Thanks for all your hard work on this. This is Nina signing off Module 11 of UNC Online's course on the fundamentals of grantsmanship.